You've eaten Gotham's wealth, its spirit, but your feast is nearly over.
This is not my home. It's an operating table. And I'm the surgeon. Why aren't you laughing?
From this moment on, none of you are safe.
Welcome to the Batman Book Club, a podcast exploring the Dark Knight Library. I'm your host, Brian Lauer. The Batman Book Club is a proud member of the Batman Podcast Network, hosted by Batman on Film. Just go to batmanonfilm.com, click on podcasts, and the Batman Podcast Network will have a whole list of other Bat-related shows that also dive into other nerdy subjects we all love to frolic about in our free time. Batman Book Club is also on Patreon. If you like what's going on with the show, you want to help support it, just go to patreon.com/thebatmanbc. It'll help keep the generators running in the Wayne Manor study. Now, thank you for listening to episode 110, Batman Returns Adaptation. Yes, 30 years since the release of Batman Returns, and I thought what better way to celebrate than visiting the comic book adaptation. Now, just like, less than a year ago, we did the Batman 89 adaptation, and I brought in two Bat Bros. And I said, if we got to do a sequel to this, it's got to be the three of us yet again. So with me, joining me, he's here to bring joy to the masses. It's Justin Kowalski. Justin Kowalski, nice background. I love your background that nobody's going to be able to see, but Arctic.
It's for y'all.
Yeah, I love it. Welcome
Arctic
back.
World.
Arctic
Hello.
World, yes.
Yes. Home of the Penguin and the Red Triangle Circus Gang.
Mm-hmm. Love it. I would love to go there. That's something that needs to be created somewhere in the winter.
It's currently closed.
Reopen it. Bring in the ducks.
There's a dead clown floating in the penguin lair.
Leave it there. It's part of the experience.
Yeah.
It's a 4D experience.
Mom, look.
We are not alone, though, because also joining us is another Bat Bro. He is anything but a stupid corn dog. It is Ryan Hoss. Ryan Hoss, welcome back to the Batman Book Club.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
I'm glad that we were able to make this happen. Celebrate 30 years of this movie. A movie that the three of us, along with some of our other Bat Bros, love to just bring up all the time, because as you know, even within this and Batman 89, any quote you want fits from those movies in day-to-day conversations. And literally. I think we bring that up and prove that all the time, especially with ducks. Our biggest takeaway from Batman Returns: ducks.
Get in the duck.
Duckmobile, get in the duck.
Get in the duck.
Which get in the duck's not even a line.
Yeah, it's just in the duck, but just,
spoiler alert, biggest disappointment of the whole comic. Get in the duck is not a panel or dialogue in this book, but we'll get there. We will work our way up. Now, I want to make this all about Batman Returns, so we're going to skip the usual for returning guests of what Batman have you been reading lately, and I would like to hear actually each of your guys' experiences of seeing Batman Returns for the first time. Because Justin, it was great for the 89 adaptation. I think you had the best
I had the worst story.
Worst dramatic story and heartbreaking. So
yes.
let's hope that your Returns, because I don't know your Return story. I'd love to hear that, and hopefully it's more triumphant.
Yes, it is. So based on the Batman 89 fiasco, at this point I was a little more able-bodied to take the life by its reins, and so me and my older sister, we walked to the theater to go see Batman Returns, and it was the first showing of the day. I think it was like probably 10:30, but I do remember buying a Subway sandwich for some reason. I don't know why.
Not even McDonald's.
Not even McDonald's.
Wow.
There was no McDonald's there, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, so I went and got a Subway sandwich, and then we saw Batman Returns. My sister absolutely hated it. She was disgusted. She was like, the Penguin's so gross. Oh God. Like the whole time she's like, this is disgusting. I can't believe we're watching this. I loved it, man. I remember because I was in I think it was in 7th or 8th grade. Because remember, I'm older than y'all. And I remember a girl in my class named Caitlin. I remember her name was Caitlin. And she had a picture of Danny DeVito Penguin on her folder. It was taped. And at that time, it was, you didn't have images all the time. So I know I've seen the trailer and I was like, is that Penguin? Is that Danny DeVito Penguin? I just remember like getting so excited about this movie. I wish all my stuff's packed up right now, but I have every newspaper clipping I could find from Batman Returns.
Man.
I still have them in a
You still have it?
folder.
Awesome.
I still have it.
Oh,
Once I
so
unpack, I'll have to share them with you. I have every
Please do.
review, everything I could find. And it's
wow.
so, and then it was because I remember one of the clips said Batman Returns early for like a midnight early showing. So I remember that that paper clipping. Anyways, I remember just getting really excited, and then we left the movie. I was just amped, and we went to the comic shop that's right over there, and I bought all the adaptations. Man, I bought the comic that I couldn't read that one. I had to read on my iPad, but the painted Dorman cover, the Fire, Batman Returns.
Mhm.
I got Penguin Triumphant, Catwoman Defiant. I got those two specials because those came out, so everything was ready to go. Like, yeah, you like Batman, let's do this. So I remember buying those comics, and then my sister
Brian Stelfreeze was he
Stelfreeze
the
did the
cover
covers,
artist? Yeah, those
he did
books. Mwah.
Yeah, it was a nice little like hey, you like these movies, go read some comics. Hey.
Yeah, and that was the kickoff of those one shots with the villains, and they did that through the end of the Burton Schumacher movies.
They did,
starting with Returns.
So yeah, overall a better situation. I remember walking by my mom's work, and we walked in, and they're like, "Oh, you guys saw Batman? Did you love it?" I was like, "It was amazing!" I was just so excited about it. And who knows what this 12-year-old kid said to them, but yeah, it was a overall better experience, and I got to see it
because you got to see the movie.
Yeah,
so
I got to see it in the theater, and so I was so happy, man. So happy.
That's awesome. It's great. Mr. Hoss, how about you?
So since I was born in late '87, I missed Batmania and getting to experience Batman '89 on the big screen, but I first got to watch it through video. So by the time Batman Returns came out, I was way more into the age of getting to experience it. And by the time Returns came out, I was super Batman centric. Like I had watched '89. I was super into the '60s show. I could watch it every day on the Family Channel. And of course, by that time I was taping VHS tapes daily of the animated series when first airing animated series stuff. So the summer that Batman Returns came out, I was like so ready for it. And God bless my parents. They caved into my wishes. And I just remember, I don't remember a lot of on this day we did this or anything, but I remember specifics. I had all of the school products I could find, all the merch I could get. I got all the toys I could get, all of the Kinder toys. I remember erasers and lunchboxes and rulers. And I remember we did not live in a market that had the Ralston Batman Returns cereal, but I remember going to my cousin's house and they did have it. And I was like so stoked. And I think I probably goaded them to, can I take the box home when you're done with the cereal? Like I really wanted it, because it was that awesome artwork on the cereal box. Remember being super fascinated by it. Remember the McDonald's toys and the cups and the glow in the dark Frisbee lids. Like it's all very, very vivid. Being able to, because I knew how huge '89 was even as a kid that missed it. So I wanted to make sure that I experienced Batman Returns in that way. And it felt big to me as a kid, like 5 years old, 4 years old. It still is very potent in my mind that summer, Batman being everywhere. And I did see it in the theater. I don't remember a ton of what my first reactions were, other than like, oh my gosh, I get to see Batman. But the main thing I remember is my dad, putting his hand over my eyes when, not for black goo, but for the Bruce Selena makeout scene, when they're starting to feel each other up. I just remember like, like you can't watch that. But that's the only thing I remember from seeing it in the theater. But I did see the theater and I got it on VHS. And I remember it being like a super, big deal, like mom, like getting me the VHS, finding it and bringing it home. And skipped renting it and went straight to buying the VHS, so I could just watch the heck out of it at home. So yeah, I was
it's so fun.
So into Batman Returns.
Skipped renting. All right. So I probably said on one of the BOF podcasts or something before, but we lived, closest theater to us was 15 minutes away. Especially when I was young, it had to be special family outings to go to the theater. So we weren't going to go see Batman Returns in theater, but we had 2 video stores in town. And I would always ask if we could go rent Curly Sue. You remember that movie?
I know that movie.
It's amazing. I remember the poster, but I've never seen the movie.
Before the movie was a spot for Batman Returns. And I don't know if it was the full trailer or what, but I distinctly remember part of the Batcat fight on the roof was there. And I was so freaking stoked. I don't know how many times I went and rented Curly Sue.
Yeah. I sorry to interject, but hearing you guys talk about this stuff just brings these memories back. I remember talking about early hype stuff. I remember visiting my grandma in Bristol, Virginia, and going to the Bristol Mall and I was so enamored with that mall because they had the theater inside the mall. And I remember, and I totally remember seeing like a movie in the theater there and seeing the preview poster for Batman Returns. And it was the early one that just had the white, just the top of the logo, and it just said Returns on it. And that was like, and I was like, I think it was probably the first time I identified like, oh, they're making another movie, because I didn't keep up with newspapers or news or anything, because I was like 4. But I remember seeing the poster and knowing that is like Batman, and seeing Returns, like that was all that I needed.
I love that poster too. Like the simplicity of that first one, but with like just the snow kind of hitting it.
Yeah, the black and the white aesthetic.
It's such a cool dude. I don't think. Yeah, I love that poster, dude. It's so good.
So that was and I think that spot had to have, with the trailer of that symbol, and the snow was kind of like blowing across it at the end or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I ever watched Curly Sue, but we rented it a hell of a lot of times just so I could watch that spot, because I knew we weren't going to see it in theaters. I still got a Catwoman toy. I got a Burgess Meredith wannabe Penguin toy. Got Bruce Wayne / Batman toy. And then when it came out to rent, we also, like I said, we had 2 video stores in town, one on each side of town. And going back and forth, I think it was to my grandparents, we'd always go by the Video Connection. And they had one of my favorite posters, the Bat, the Cat, the Penguins totem pole style. That was in the window. And we stopped so many times because I would annoy the hell out of my parents, and it was always out. It was the case of, it had like multiple VHS cases, and then they'd have tags in front. So, but if you didn't see a tag, it wasn't in. And then late one night, we went through and it was still open. I was like, "Can we stop for Batman Returns?" And they stopped. I went running in, and they had one. And I was just like lost my shit. And I was like, "Oh my God." And so they let me, it was a Saturday night, stay up late to watch it. I think my mom hated it. I don't know my dad's opinions. He just sat and watched it with like me and my brother. And I was just like, because my mom, she was definitely checked out with the black goo penguin and stuff, but I didn't care. I loved it. I was like, "Oh my God, this is the greatest ever. It's Batman Returns." And so, then I was obsessed all about that one. And I was able at that point to do double features of the 2. And Batman Returns as a kid, that was it was definitely, I don't know about all these other parents that had their kids crying and stuff for movies. I wasn't one of them. I thought it was amazing.
Yeah. I think there's most parents, there's probably most moms upset.
Yeah. My mom probably wrote it. I didn't know it. My mom probably wrote into him. It's just like, "This is destroying my kid's innocence," or something. I don't know. I'm going to go buy him a toy though.
Yeah.
I'll go buy one of those.
I'm going to go buy him a repainted Superpowers penguin.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Oh my God. I remember being so impressed by Penguin's belly. Like that was an impressive belly on that toy. And of course came with penguins.
Penguin Commandos.
I loved it.
Every time my grandma would come visit me, she would bring me another set of Penguin Commandos. Because each pack came with 2. Yeah. So she helped me build a penguin army. Like every time I would see her, she'd be like, "Here's another one. Here's another." Probably because they were on like clearance or something.
Yeah, those are always on.
Because
those are on clearance till 95,
bro. Who wants those? Yeah. So
we don't need 70 I thought it was toy penguins.
because we didn't get because we didn't get a duck mobile, we got the penguin jet, like the umbrella jet. But I was able to amass at least an army of maybe, I don't know, 6 or 8 penguin commandos.
No, I was gonna say, man, imagine if they gave us like Red Triangle Circus Gang army builder figures. That'd have been cool.
Yeah, and it is important to note, like, the gap of time between Returns and Forever is 3 years, and for a 4-year-old, that's like so long. And it is long. It's pretty long in terms of the pop culture consciousness of something back then. Like today, things move so fast. In addition to time moves quicker.
We're constantly informed now, as opposed to then, especially as a kid. You're just like,
but as
I
a
don't
kid,
know when.
it was like, I don't know when. So I remember they like in the pop culture consciousness, like you had animated series stuff, but you also had Batman Returns, and that was like the big Batman thing for years. And even so, Kenner had to extend it and had like a series 2 of Batman Returns figures that came out like years later. And I was like, I remember seeing those too. Yeah.
That's when they got real weird.
Like super jungle fighter.
This wasn't in This wasn't in the movie. This wasn't in the movie. This is crazy.
Batman wearing purple with yellow splashes of paint on him. That's weird.
Yeah. Is there a new Batman movie coming? Oh my god. Well, as we know, there's a comic adaptation because the first one to the 89 was so successful. You gotta have a follow-up. So let's dig into the Batman Returns comic book adaptation. Surprisingly, released in 1992.
Hey.
Yeah, how about that? Written by Denny O'Neil, RIP, with art from Steve Irwin, not the Crocodile Hunter. And I don't usually mention inkers, but it's worth noting here, this little nobody did the inks, Jose Luis Garcia Lopez.
Well, that's key because Jose Luis Garcia Lopez did all the control art and promotional art for Batman Returns. He did all
that cereal box. He did the cereal box. Yeah.
Yes.
So I got some actual takeaways from some stuff. There's a lot of imagery in this comic that is I don't know if like due to time constraints or whatever. There's a lot of Jose Luis Garcia Lopez backgrounds in here that Steve Irwin has drawn over, that he's put his characters on. Because there is some specific things I remember, and I did some research. I'm an internet detective, a sleuth, you might call me. And I found a lot of images that were panels straight from the book with a different Batman pose. And
nice.
So there's we can get there when we go past it,
we'll come back to that aspect for sure, because that's interesting. It was definitely released in 2 formats, the prestige format, which I've never been able to see or touch physically, but I assume it's like the almost like more tougher binding and stuff. And then there's also the newsstand version, which is like a magazine.
And I remember seeing that like in the grocery store at the time.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
It's been collected in the Batman the movies hardcover that does all these adaptations that Ryan Hoss is waving in front of me, and it's also surprisingly available on DC Universe Infinite. So, which versions did you gentlemen grab read for this episode? Hoss, you can go first.
I read it in the Batman the Movies trade because I haven't read them out of this yet. For the 89 version, I read it out of this, and of course the mixed bag of the hardcover edition that came out, the deluxe edition. So I wanted to continue the trend and read it out of my Batman the Movies tome.
Excellent. Justin.
I just read it on my iPad. You can't see that there. There you go.
Oh, nice. Yes. DC Universe Infinite.
Yeah. Infinite. Yeah, all my stuff is packed up. So
sure.
Yeah. I've got the other 2 versions, but they're packed up, and my Batman the Movies trade is conveniently on the bookshelf.
Well, I love this because I read the newsstand version. So the 3 of us, different versions. Boom.
Look at that.
What a happy accident. How about, do you guys remember when you first read the adaptation?
Yeah, the day I bought it.
Yeah.
After I watched the movie.
That is amazing.
So you went and you bought the Penguin Triumphant and what's the Catwoman one called?
Defiant.
So you bought those two and Batman Returns, and though you just saw Batman Returns, you read that one first, do you think?
I don't remember. I know I read them all. Like I
think I would have. Like I definitely would have. Just
I probably dropped like $13 that day on these things. I don't know, like whatever they're probably like $5 books or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, dude, I remember reading it and picked up on things like right off the bat, like inconsistencies or like, oh, the words are different a little bit, or, you know, yeah. So, but you know, I guess as we go on, there's some funny things. I feel like this one it doesn't have the magic of the Batman 89 adaptation at all.
None of them
do. Yeah, but this one, okay.
They each kind of go down, I think, probably, as we'll see.
Yeah. But yeah, I do remember reading it and just noticing, oh, there's one scene that I was like, oh, that's really cool. Other than that, it was the scene where Bruce Wayne walks up into the offices where, you know, Shrek pushed out Selena Kyle.
Yeah.
And then he kind of is like, oh yeah, there, you know, he's like, oh, someone must have threw bricks in here. He's like, no glass on the ground. It was just a nice detective like moment.
That whole scene is interesting. I guess we can get it. We can get into that. Yeah.
How about you, Hoss? When did you first read this?
So I probably read it around the time it came out. I am sure because I was a big Batman fan and I love the movies a ton. I know that I got the newsstand edition whenever I saw it at the store, but I would also go occasionally, maybe once every couple months. My parents would take me to our local comic store, and since Batman Returns is, you know, a movie, it's one of the more mainstream things. I saw and got the other, you know, hard paperback version there, and I remember lugging those with me in a little backpack to like the summer school, like the summer daycare, you know, so I could like re-experience the movie, you know, during the, you know, free time during the day, you know, every day. So I got a lot of mileage out of watching the movie at home, but also just being able to take the comic with me wherever I would go. You know, we were going to the park. Okay, I'm taking my, you know, Batman Returns.
Gotta take my Batman Returns book.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotta read Batman Returns at the park. Actually, this was my first time ever reading this.
What?
I know, right? Because in 2020, when the world shut down, I was a spender on the interwebs, and I was going to eBay and anything that popped into my head. I probably started with that back issues issue that we talked about on the last adaptation. That got me so nostalgic, and so I started looking up, you know, the other adaptations, which I had Batman Forever since I was a kid. But I didn't have Returns, and I didn't have Batman and Robin. And I grabbed the novelizations of the movies and stuff too. And so I grabbed this one, and it was delivered. I didn't read it. I ended up putting it away in my long box. And then leading right into the next question of why did you guys choose Batman Returns? You didn't. I did. Because I knew that I loved how we talked about the last adaptation. And so, I reached out to see if you guys are interested in doing a follow-up. And you both said, yeah. And I said, perfect. Because this gives me a reason to go grab this physical issue and get to actually get my hands on it and read it. And even though accessibility, it's right there on DC Universe Infinite. I just thought I give me physical if I can over digital. And so, let's hop right into it. And so, Justin, I think we should just kick it off because you're a detective yourself, you said, and
yes,
definitely in seeing the front, and I saw Jose Luis Garcia Lopez, and I thought, oh, he did the artwork then. And then to see that he did inks, I'm like, hold on a second. That guy was only he's not the artist. Like that kind of blew my mind. Cause I'm like, us comic fans, we know this guy. We know his work. He is a top talent, and he was the inker. So kick us off there of what you noticed, what you discovered.
Yeah, just you know, as I was going through it, I mean, I always knew he was the inker. Jose Luis Garcia. That's a lot. Mr. Lopez. Let's just call Mr. Lopez.
Mr. Lopez, JL, GL.
I mean,
know.
he's DC Comics to a lot of people. Like a lot of their control art, turnarounds, anything like that. Anything you like. Sometimes you buy at Target. Oh, it's a Band-Aid. That's his artwork that's on there.
Gotcha.
Still to this day, I think they do a lot of it. It's just kind of the classic look of DC. But he also did a lot of finishes on people's work. Because he just got good lines, and so I think he probably did that because he was fast. He was like one of their guy. He's their guy.
Quickly in finishes, in which aspect? Like the outlining, like finish, like inking. Sketch, inking. Oh, okay.
Yeah, gotcha. Inking. And sometimes they call it finishes because maybe
sure.
the penciler does like some light sketching. On this one, it just says inking, but inks by him. But sometimes he would do finishes and stuff. So he's kind of the guy. He's like the guy they send in to finish things sometimes. Like, oh, he'll take care of it. It'll look good.
Yeah.
He'll honor the look. And they typically put him on guys that are house style DC, if you want to say that, like an Ordway or a Jurgens.
Jurgens.
Jurgens. Not that they're the same style, but they kind of have a classic superhero. It's not overly stylized. Like you wouldn't see him inking Norm Brayfogle or something like that, right?
He would never. He would never.
But so like Steve Irwin, he was doing Deathstroke and stuff for DC. He actually, I think Steve Irwin actually created Checkmate. I think he created Checkmate as well. So anyways, he's got some 80s DC credibility to him. But I was curious as to why Ordway didn't do this. I don't know if he was just too busy. I was just kind of like, oh, you kind of want to see that.
He ended up not doing any of the other
no. And the thing with what I liked about Ordway's art, it looked like the world of Batman Returns. This one looked heavily influenced by set photos, and it was like, oh, there's literally like 7 pictures of the Penguin in here that are all the same. They're like all from Control, like that same picture I saw in that girl's folder. It's like, oh, that's just variations on that face. And I get you need to have reference photos and stuff, but there's a lot of, oh, that's the same Penguin face over and over and over again. And so time.
Yeah. You kind of wonder, like, is that because it was a time thing, or because like, hey, these were already approved, likeness wise or whatever. So it's
for sure. Like that's definitely like probably what went in there, but it was just one of those things I noticed here. I took a lot of screenshots yesterday.
With that said, like it was, and most of it. Oh yeah, so that was the one, as you were mentioning, that close up of Penguin. Mm-hmm. It's like it very much seems like that's very similar, reused with a couple of little changes. But we highly referenced that back issues issue where there was a lot of good information about this adaptation. I could find jack squat on the story of the Returns adaptation.
Yeah.
Which I just felt like, okay, well, then there's nothing dramatic to say about it then. It's because, you saying that's what I would guess at first too is, oh, maybe they were under a time constraint and everything. But we never heard stories about Returns like we did for 89 we didn't know how we were ending it with the third act and this big, changing everything or anything like that. It Returns, it just seemed controlled. What was written is what they were shooting and stuff like that. So I don't know. I'd love to hear more behind this, but maybe there's just not much to tell.
Yeah, it's definitely, this adaptation is way more corny too. I think it's way cornier. It's got way cornier dialogue. Both of them have different like takes, but this one for sure has. But
the extra things that wind up in it, and I kind of wonder
the Kitty cameo.
I kind of wonder too if it's more like O'Neill in conjecture, or if it's from earlier drafts of the script that got tightened up when ADR, because usually like around the time this adaptation we made, this is when the movie would be like getting the final edit where they tighten things up and use ADR to like polish things, or the like scenes that would run long, they would just lop off, and a lot of scenes in this book are kind of like that, where it would stop, it would go a little bit farther, like a line or two farther than the movie would, and it's usually like superfluous, like extra fluff that you don't really need.
There's a really go.
Well, I'm probably gonna move us in a different direction, so you go ahead and go
it's just goofy, the part like after Batman and Catwoman fight, she says, I'm a woman and can't be taken for granted. Are you listening? And he's like hanging on every word because he's like hanging on her lip. It's just like,
see, and that a lot of that stuff, it sounds like that could be in the script, and that's the kind of stuff that Michael Keaton literally said, like, yeah, but then they like gave me too much dialogue, and I was like, can I say less? Can I do
that?
less?
I think I totally agree with you there, that this seems a little bit like, you know, the 89 version of if that's what the script was, and Keaton's like, no, I think he'd say less, because, you know, who would forget that panel in the 89 comic, I'm going down, you know, in his bat plane, that he would say, no, we're not going to have that. And here, and there's definitely lines like that where it totally works better. It's like, oh, this wasn't in the movie. I'm glad this wasn't in the movie. His Batman
like
is
when
better
he first
not saying this.
Yeah, when he first sees Selena Kyle in the book, he's like, gotta go. But in the movie, he just steps back and turns around, and it works way better. But as a one-sided conversation between Selena Kyle and Batman, like it's
Selena Kyle's written really weird in the book too. Like she's not as mousy. She just seems kind of more ditzy, like the way she's written.
So here, I'll just throw it out there now. I think this is a great adaptation of the movie. I really do. Minus what you guys have mentioned that I totally agree with, of parts of lines, and I don't disagree with the Selena angle either. Denny O'Neil, I think, definitely toned down / removed all the perviness.
Yeah,
there is no just the pussy I'm looking for line, you know. It found in the comic. Batman almost, you know, everybody loves to go to Batman's a murderer because in returns he puts dynamites on a big dude and throws him down the sewer drain. They cut that out. He throws the bomb down there to get rid of it, and that's it. So he's almost painted a little bit more heroically in that light too. But I think story-wise, I can read through the 89 adaptation quick, like fast. I think this, they don't slice much of the story. I don't think there's tons of panels on every single page taking you through scenes that I think it really, I don't know, it doesn't omit a lot of the movie in the comic adaptation that way. And I actually really like that.
Yeah.
Jerry Ordway actually said that. He said
part?
that I think I remember reading, there was a thread with Brad Walker, and he was talking about Batman, and they ended up talking about the 89 adaptation, and then he made a mistake and said Jose Luis Garcia Lopez drew it, and Ordway's like, no, it was Steve Irwin, but he said it was just, there was too many panels for my liking, something to that extent. I don't know why, I just remember that. So but you can see it's very congested.
It's condensed, and to me, a lot of this echoes parts of how like The Dark Knight Returns is told, because a lot of Batman Returns is also from like the city's perspective. So you get a lot of like newscasts that flow into people watching them or commenting on them. And you have those dense panels that'll like cut straight from a newscast to something else. Like a lot of things get set up and paid off like in the same page in a very dense way.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's because of the adaptation. They're trying to use the pages that they have, and for the most part that works really well, but sometimes a lot of the more cinematic moments in the movie get completely chopped down. Like Selena crashing the apartment is done in half of a page, like her transformation, and you don't even see her really. We
don't get Hell Here money shot.
Yeah,
one of my favorite.
It's in the background.
The whole movie.
It's in the background, and her even dressing up or creating a Catwoman costume, you don't even see it. Like she just appears as Catwoman.
That's so key.
The very and other things like the very memorable scene of Bruce, you know, answering the call of the bat signal. That whole scene is not even in adaptation at all. Like it goes straight from send the signal to the Batmobile appears, which is a good cut in terms of like, because otherwise you would have 1 or 2 pages of no dialogue, and they already kind of just did that with having to show the whole Penguin introduction.
Do you think we get Gordon, as he says, the signal, and we get the cityscape shot with the bat signal, and then we get Penguin looking through the sewer grates of the signal. I could envision that in the movie, we get it cuts, the multiple shots and the one of you're looking through, but we hear nothing. There's nothing about it in here. Do you think that there was a line? Ooh, Batman, I'm trembling.
I think that's
in the movie.
The
like,
script.
you know what?
I
don't think that sounds very good. Let's not do audio.
I'm pretty sure I've seen that in the script, and I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of this stuff was
Sam Hamm's script or the legit shooting script.
No, the shooting script.
See, I can't hear DeVito saying that. Like,
I can't either.
Batman, I'm trembling. Like,
I'm
it just
yeah.
He just seems more like the creepy.
I'm trembling.
Yeah. Which I mean, it's good. It's good that it's not in the movie, because for a while there, you try to you do go on this kind of journey where you're like, well, what is the Penguin's angle? Is he just trying to, get out, or is he got him? What's his plan? And a lot of that is kind of messy in the movie. But
Warner Brothers didn't have a plan even in '92, so Penguin's not going to have a plan. I think
what is their plan?
There is no plan. Okay, so Hoss, in your collected edition, Justin, I forget what you said. Did you get the Prestige or like the newsstand version?
I have the Prestige, the
Prestige,
fire
okay.
cover, the painted cover.
And Hoss, in your collected, is it glossy paper or is it like
glossy
my
paper.
kind of paper? Gotcha.
It's
Okay.
glossy, yeah.
So mine is on the newspaper paper, which I love. It smells like a floppy, a good old
There you
90s
go.
floppy.
There you go.
Still waiting on that candle.
Working
But I think that really helps with the art for me, especially in the sense of it's almost kind of like last episode I talked about the face-to-face story with the icon Chris Clow, that it's like it seems like this was all printed on black paper, like all the outlines and everything is all, or the borders and stuff are all black, which really helps. I mean, that fits the style of Burton's movie.
Yeah.
I think that really helps. That really helps the art, because even if Irwin did, use a lot of Mr. Lopez / JLGL's work and stuff like that and traits over whatever the fact, I think that it all works really well and nothing is jarring.
Yeah.
Kind of like last time we talked about the kickoff, the Batman '89 series, and some of that was jarring at first because we were like, that's not Commissioner Gordon. Oh, that looks kind of funky. Here, I mean, the main three, Bruce, like that looks like Batman Returns Batman. It looks like Michael Keaton. I think Selina looks great and out of the suit, and I think Penguin looks pretty damn good as well. Christopher Walken is the hair's down, but the rest is a little like meh. Chip Shrek does not look like Chip Shrek.
No. The actor's like, no, you don't get my rights, bro.
I'm too big.
Big deal here.
But I think it's, and not to shit on anything, it's not as good as Ordway's art.
No.
But I mean, Ordway is Jerry Ordway. So that's not totally dissing, but it also gives it, you get what I think you're supposed to with some fun comic book flavor, but definitely looks like Batman Returns.
It's not far off though. Like it's a good like, hey, if you can't get Ordway, let's get some, again, house style DC, someone who can get likenesses and it looks like a comic. And so for me, I just feel like there's a lot of cheats and a lot of laziness, and the coloring doesn't feel as good either to me.
I was going to mention the coloring, and I feel like that's partly to blame with the production design, tonal shift, cinematography shift between Batman '89 and Batman Returns. '89 has more of that like gray, drab, like Gotham. Like you just flip through. You can flip through the '89 adaptation and be like, yeah, that feels like Batman '89.
Yeah.
It's kind of similar with Returns, but Returns does have that more like sterile set like sheen to it, which I do feel like suffers in the coloring. It comes through in the coloring, but that also makes it a more, like a drabber interpretation of it.
I wish they would have leaned more into the Batman Returns like coloring like aesthetic, because the stuff that's jarring, like it almost feels like 40s, 50s coloring process. Like you have Bruce Wayne and Chip both have a green suit and he's sitting on a purple couch, and it's it's like it's kind of like rudimentary there, and like in the 90s they had better options for coloring,
Okay, so, I get you.
So
where it works
the best, can be confusing is all. Like, oh, there's Bruce.
And then where it works Chip. The best is where they have like a very limited amount of colors, or like in the Penguin sections where he's where it's all black and white, or where you have like the rooftop confrontation with Batman and Catwoman. It's all very like a limited amount of colors, and it works a lot better there.
Yeah.
But it almost reminds me like there could be like another version of this in my head where they copy some of the Garcia Lopez like key art you would see on shirts and stuff, and and it's kind of like the Killing Joke, the original Killing Joke coloring. Because as a kid, I had those T-shirts where it was like I had like a pink Batman Returns shirt with the Batman with the gauntlet up. And
I know what
you're
talking about.
There's like a hard yellow key light that's just blazing through his face. I kind of wonder like if that like pop art kind of coloring would work in some ways for some of these.
So art is not bad.
It's not
Overall
bad. There's some
consensus.
there's too many panels where Batman does not have a bat on his yellow logo though. I'm like, come on, bro.
Really?
And they committed hard to not having the eye makeup. Like he does not have eye makeup in this book.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't even think about that first to Justin's point, and then the page that I had it open where the Ice Princess is on the corner and penguins in silhouette, and there's Batman right there, and there is no yellow. Well, there's a yellow oval, but there's no bat symbol inside of it. I didn't even pick up on that. And then that was a point I was going to talk about, Hoss, is that any of them that have some kind of close up and look at that right on the same page, no bat symbol on the, where is it? I don't know. I'm trying to show you guys. There's no bat symbol inside the yellow oval, and both shots of he has no black eye makeup.
Yeah.
Huh. I'll be damned. This book is a disgrace.
There's too many Batmans with no symbols. That's the thing. I mean, there's probably 20 shots where there's no symbol.
Gotcha.
So this is weird, man.
Yeah, I get that. In that case, that definitely feels like a shortcut.
Yeah.
When he's right now in the Batmobile of that Penguin's in control of, there's a close up of him, and he's got the outline, but it's not colored in. This is nitpicky as hell, I know, but still.
Yeah, but it's like a movie adaptation. It should have like those are things that are like, come on, dude, get that symbol in there, man. It's Batman. Like you drew it on the steering wheel.
Okay, so that I am with you a little bit more on the point of some shortcuts and where this just because 89 is, you touch anything 89, it is magical. So this is not the magic of 89. That said, I still think, and maybe it is because I like the art and I think that there's tons of panels on every page. The story wise, scene wise, what's omitted here that was in the movie? What are the big points to touch on that weren't included here?
Like I said, like you don't get like the bat signal scene. You don't get the scene I mentioned where Bruce and Selina actually go on a date, or like where they meet up and talk about like, hey, Catwoman caused Batman saved property damage and Catwoman doesn't weigh that much, and then they go on a date. Like you'd miss all that. You go straight in the book, it's like, hey, Bruce is watching the tree lighting, and he goes straight to the plaza. So you miss out some character development between Bruce and Selina in this book, and you don't get to see Selina like driving and putting on her costume and conspiring with the Penguin as much.
Yeah, you don't get the lick.
Yeah, it's more like a kiss. Yeah,
we want the lick. Okay, come on.
So fun fact.
Yeah,
I had a band in the early 2000s, and the name was A Kiss Could Be Deadly.
Ooh. Nice.
Go look it up on Spotify.
Was it a blend?
On Spotify?
Huh?
Was it a blend of like Returns vibe with Seal's hit? And you're like, no, it's not from a rose. That's too sweet and romantic.
You don't get like Shrek really, like you said, all the sexual innuendo references that are gone. Like you don't get Shrek having more to do with the Penguin's plot, like goading him downstairs with the fish, talking about what to do as the mayor.
Well, I think, Justin, one of your favorite things when you brought this up on your Let's Go show before, and it was Corn Dog.
That's a huge issue here.
Go. And Corn Dog okay, so I really wanted to watch the movie before we recorded. I just didn't have the time to. I mean, I know the movie pretty well, but I wanted to hold this comic as I'm watching the movie.
I know.
I always got confused of she in the movie, corn dog just popped out of her head to herself, right?
She was mad. She was like, she was upset. She's a stupid corn dog. And this, she calls Chip a corn dog.
Yeah.
Chip is not a corn dog.
This,
come on, Danny O'Neill.
Well, all of these couple of frames are kind of confusing because, as you said, with the green suit of the mayor and Chip, I got them. You can get them both almost confused really quickly. There's not much distinction between the two. Christopher Walken, Max Schreck, you got his white hair. You got that mane on his noggin that he's distinctive. But I mean, you see Chip bring in Selena.
Yeah.
Then it's a panel of Selena, the mayor, and Shrek. Yeah. That's my buzzer for my dryer going off. I apologize. Right. And then the next panel is the mayor and Max, and Chip's talking to Selena and says, thanks. Anyway, it's not the caffeine that gets us buzzed. It's the obedience. And I'm like, wait, am I missing something? Nobody said anything to him. And then she said, shut up, Chip, you stupid corn dog. And then all I hear is Justin saying, corn dog, corn dog, corn dog.
Well, because Max is saying, like, we haven't properly housebroken Miss Kyle, right? And then he's like, yeah, anyways, it's not the caffeine that gets us buzzed. He's being derogatory towards her. He's saying she's an obedient, like, worker. But she's like, shut up, Chip, you stupid corn dog. Like, she's talking under her breath because he's left the room at that point. Like,
I don't know what he's thinking, who for what. Not a big deal. Very nitpicky, but
then she calls herself a corn dog. She's all corn dog.
Corn dog.
They're really trying to like deliver that line home. Like,
and some things like they skip over that you only kind of get the context, but if you've seen the movie, like the panel where Max Schreck like pretends like he's gonna kill Selena, and Selena's like, oh, for a second you really frightened me. You don't get like it's all done in one panel, so you only get like, why would she say she's not scared anymore? Because he's still slamming her against the
so you can measure that up of between this and the movie. Did they cut it for the comic? Was it added on set? In which another way to measure it is, did either of you read the novelization?
No.
I have read it, and I have it on audio book also, where
the
guy that plays the mayor in Batman Returns reads the novelization. Okay. Yeah, Michael Murphy.
Very cool. Yeah. I guess, I mean, I don't know when was the last time you read it, Hoss, but some of these moments to where you could pinpoint of what shows up
from what I remember, the book is very close to the movie also. There's not any, it's not like I think the holy grail of the movie adaptations is like the Batman Forever one, because it goes much more, it takes the concepts and characters and goes into more psychological places and takes asides to tell you about like the Riddler. And
I covered on the show with the one Robert Myers
with Rob
a couple
Myers,
years ago. That was
exactly
blown away. That was the first time I ever read that novel. I'm like, this is not like the movie.
you can tell 89 is kind of was a definite like quick, we have to get this out because a lot of things are haphazard or added or weird. Returns feels pretty complete. Batman and Robin, I think, also feels, you know what? I might not have read Batman and Robin. I have it over there, but I don't know if I actually read it. Or it's.
I want to get through, and I want to read all the novelizations.
I've got them all
contrast, but
I've got them all in hardcover and softcover and whichever audiobook versions. Yeah, I am a big adaptation fan of the movies, clearly. So, yeah, but the audiobook or the book itself is pretty close.
So as far as stuff omitted from the movie that show up here and vice versa, is there anything that really stands out to either of you?
Wait, say that again.
So like scenes, lines, etc., that are in the comic that aren't on the movie, or scenes, lines in the movie that aren't in the comic, which we already kind of mentioned, the perviness from the Penguin.
You don't get like, it's just Bruce and Selena stuff, and then you don't get to see a lot of the cool stuff with Catwoman with the whip and the guards and Shrek, all the setup
Sure.
to her blowing up Shrek's department store.
Yeah.
She just comes out of it, you know. So a lot of that you miss.
Yeah, those are just economy things. Like they just have to like,
Yeah, and those
Yeah,
are like
skip.
scenes that don't have dialogue in the movie. So
but they're kind of the best. Like that whole scene though is like
Exactly.
amazing.
those
You
are
get the blow up.
memorable
Yeah.
images, right? Like I remember Catwoman with the whip and skipping through the store. I remember Bruce
Yeah.
standing up and looking at the bat signal. Things that don't have dialogue that they have to cut out to get the story moving.
There's a really stupid part in the where they're at Shrek's ball and he's all attention shoppers.
Yes.
Like this splendid department store, Gotham City. Wait, I should do my walking. Gotham
Attention
City
shoppers.
can quickly bounce back from the tumult of the past few days. So deck the halls and shake your booties. That's my turn.
Oh man.
What was cool about
shake
that?
your booties? What
Shake
the heck?
your booties.
Shake
Like, oh my
your
God.
booties.
Oh gosh.
What was cool about the scene in the book, though, is that you get one panel of Alfred and Gordon talking
You
to
do.
each
Yes.
other about Bruce and Selena,
Yeah.
which they never interacted at all in the movies.
That's
So
right.
it's
And-
kind of like a weird hidden scene, and I'm like, man, I wonder if they shot this. But on the other hand, it's like it's kind of funny that like the police commissioner would be there, like partying it up. It's like a commentary on the whole thing. It's like they're doing a whole party when
Yeah, why is
this
Alfred
crazy
there?
crap just happened.
Yeah, exactly. Because he's buddy with the commissioner. Like people know billionaires. People are not.
He drove Bruce there.
Their butlers are not celebrities. Like,
Yeah.
and so I wonder if that's something in the book and if like the novelization, if it's expanded upon. But yeah, that
Not to
one
my
definitely the shake your booties. The fact that Chip actually shows up right after Max pushes Selena out the window. So you know
Yeah.
that Chip is fully aware of the dirtiness of his dad, which
Yeah.
I think they kind of, they avoid that in the movie. You're not necessarily a huge fan of Chip except for his accent.
God.
Like he's a big
Dad,
oaf,
go.
but here
God.
They
he's more of a-
misspelled it in
he's
here
more of
too.
a-
He says dad, D-A-D. It needs to be D-A-H-D. I mean, come
Yeah.
on. Dad.
Come on, guys.
Dad.
Yeah, he does come off less oafish here and more like conspiratorial.
Yeah, he's like-
a hole.
She jumped. Like, oh,
Mhm.
okay.
Oh, that's a better idea. Yeah.
Dad, she jumped.
Dad.
Dad.
Yeah. It's a blend of like a Walken and Schwarzenegger for me.
Yeah,
always.
he-
Like, go dad, go
he
dad,
is.
go dad.
Dad.
Dad. We have, I mean, it's just framed differently for sure, but I mean, we have the circus gang, that basically middle of the movie scene action set piece. We do get that. It just looks a little bit different. The dog jumping and grabbing the batarang kind of comes out of nowhere, and we don't even get the dog's owner, like
No.
really at
she
all in
doesn't,
this.
and the poodle lady. She doesn't show up later either when in the tent with the ice princess, but you see her for like a second right at the end.
Okay,
in the
now that
movie.
I wanted to talk about that because the poodle lady's the one that is doing the countdown in the igloo,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
Talks a lot more in the comic.
in the comic, it's like not even because that lady, she was just like kind of like your stereotypical, like, I don't know, hot topic goth girl, like, the way she talked. Well,
Yeah.
something's wrong, like, and here she's like, well, funny thing, your penguins are not responding to the launch commands. Like, it's just like
No,
generic
don't
dialogue,
don't say it. My lips are sealed. Like,
yeah.
glad
I
that
don't know,
got cut from the movie.
Like, I try to hear the words of the actors, it's
Yeah.
would she go be like, my lips are sealed? No, I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like that works.
Yeah.
So in
Neither
another
does,
case,
like the
Keaton-
penguin having extra lines of like, the Grinch just stole Christmas. I'm gonna
Yeah.
kill it and barbecue
Yeah.
it and chop it up and chew its bones. I'm like, geez.
there's some parts that I do love and I can hear. So right before that with the poodle lady, and he's sitting there and he says, I got them, you wouldn't put me on a pedestal, so I'm laying you on a slab. Like, I could totally just hear him really going there for those lines. So that made it fun
Yeah.
for me, of lines like that, which I think speaks to the acting in this movie of Keaton and Pfeiffer and their characters and stuff, because when you're reading it, you are full on hearing how they performed it, and not because it's like, oh, it's so awful. It's like, no, it's because it's so damn good.
we do get
Understand.
more like kidnapping images, of the kids.
Yeah. So
You don't get
Man.
floor high fiber. Dang.
Oh, I know, that's the best. I love that line. And you don't get DJ Alfred.
DJ Alfred.
Ricky,
Yeah, that's a big.
Batman.
I love the fact that they
He's
put
there
in
though. You get panels of him like with the thing.
But you don't
You
get
know.
the CD. It's just a button he hits.
the clowns, the circus gang, panels of them creeping in and stealing kids. I get not wanting to film that, but that is some creepy freaking shit if they'd have put that in that movie. To
Oh,
where
I
they're
know.
like, oh,
Yeah, Burton
what
was
could
doing
have
it.
been?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
But I'm
man, what
also
could have
like,
been?
man, none of these people have? Did they really leave them defenseless at home?
That's what I was
No,
gonna say. These
because that's
people-
what
Yeah.
the Penguin says. Like it's just it's a normal accepted thing. He's like, you're getting juiced. You left your kids defenseless at home. I'm like, they don't have babysitters.
I mean,
Or, like
That scene, the first one that they show of a young Garrett Grev brushing his teeth and a clown just creeping in the window. Like, my God, that would be, I don't know.
Yeah.
I get it if you've got to cut stuff and you get the gist of it because you turn the page and then
They're
were
just
any of us
running out.
lost in the
Yeah.
movie of we're seeing them throwing kids in cages. It's like, no, the
Yeah.
point's there. We don't need to beat you over the head with it, but still.
The cops could have easily. It's a slow moving carnival train that stands the hell out in Gotham
Yeah,
City.
where are the
and
police?
all the kids are.
the police are in the sewers. Just waiting.
They're all holed up in one spot.
They're all at the party. I mean, we saw the commissioner. They're all chumming it up with Alfred.
I did want to go back. Okay, so one of the cooler shots in the whole movie is when Batman jumps and glides. He's got like his Batman
Yeah.
glider cape.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love
My
that.
favorite toy from that
Oh my
era.
gosh.
I loved
So
getting
good.
to and those wings.
I
popping
just
out.
I still remember that scene from the trailer. It was so cool because
I would replicate it. I would get a towel or a cape and climb up on some high thing that I shouldn't have gone on, either inside or outside, and open my arms up and try
I'm
to
gonna
jump
do
off.
it. I'm gonna
Yeah.
do it.
well, in the movie, he lands it, he just rolls right out, and I love how the cape just kind of snaps back
Yeah.
into like
Yeah.
functioning cape. And here he freaking Pattinson's it and hits like
Yeah,
a trash can.
Keaton did
like,
it first.
Yeah, Keaton did it first in a comic. I don't understand like the point of him crashing. It'd have been way cooler just to show him like land. I don't just like a random addition right there. Crash, and then there's the
Yeah.
Batmobile.
Like the James Bond esqueness of like he knows what he's doing. He just he's great. Comes right out of it.
Yeah.
I always loved in the movie when Penguin takes over the Batmobile. He's got his mini kitty exact
Yeah.
replica of the Batmobile, which is absent here. So that's a little bit of like a and change up. Got a little confused. So he's taken over the Batmobile,
Yeah.
brakes squeak on the woman crossing the street. And then it seems like then it does the top spin, like Penguin's back in control. And I was confused for a second. I'm like, wait, Penguin's in full control and he decided to not hit that woman and then continued to like manipulate the Batmobile, or I wasn't really.
Oh, I see.
Do you understand what I mean?
No,
Yeah.
I think that at that point it's kind of sloppy, but it looks like Batman's smashing. He pulls wires out.
Like he loses
pulls
control for a
out.
second.
Yeah, and he hits the brakes because he says homicidus interruptus. I hate that. Like you interrupted the murder. So, and then
But
it looks
then-
like he
but he
jumped
fought-
back on.
But he follows that with, oh, well, one last spin, buckle up, as if like he's in it. And then he's saying, and he's not. I was waiting for some kind of. And then it's the next page that he says, this close to a perfect evening. So I don't know. I guess it's a little clunky to me of when did
Oh,
he
for sure.
fully lose control?
Yeah. I do
Nitpicky,
like that
but it's-
gag. That's a cool gag. That's not in the movie where he lifts the thing up and he's like, "Oh, take it for a spin," and would have the Batmobile spin around by
Yeah.
itself. And because that is what Batman's trying to do in the movie when he
Yeah.
gets before he does the Batman, so he's trying to flip the switch to turn the car around. Right?
Let's see here. Is there any other is there any line specifically that? I mean, I agree. When you go to after they Selena blows up Shrek's, and I don't know if this is a line that you said that you'd already mentioned about less is more, and I like that he comes up the ladder and she's sitting there, like on her front
Yeah.
with her feet kicked up. But then where's the fire in him in Shrek's store? You said it. I could almost hear Keaton doing it, but then I think of
Yeah.
what they did on the movie, and as he's coming up the ladder and he just meets her foot to his face,
Yeah.
and they start fighting. It's like, yeah. That just kind of works. That
Yeah.
works better. But then also the whole, I'm glad they kept it in there. How could you? I'm a woman. I
Yeah.
could hear them acting that out and stuff. And the back and forth of the two, I don't know. I think it's pretty good here in the pages.
Yeah. Yeah, it just can. I think it just it's hit or miss on the dialogue. Like at the
Sure.
end, she's like, "I'm not a house cat." He's all, "I won't declaw you." Just
Yeah.
watch where you sharpen those things. Like it goes into like 50s Batman comic corn doll.
Yeah.
You know.
Keaton's
Yeah.
ripped in this.
What's that?
Keaton's ripped in this.
Oh yeah.
He's ripped in real life. What are you
He's
talking
got some bold biceps, some wide shoulders. I mean, this guy, he's got it going on to Batman
Keaton
Returns.
signed off on this. He's like, yeah, accurate.
Yeah, that
Cool.
looks good. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
pretty good.
All right.
Yeah. Well, it matches the key art. The key art had him like, very
Yeah.
textbook Batman.
Pure
Keaton got ripped in that. There was that movie he did like after Batman Returns. I'm trying to remember what he played. Some guy who was locked up in prison. He was like, dang it. I don't know. What it was
Oh, really?
called. Yeah. There's some
Was
movie
that-
he's like,
It wasn't Desperate Measures, was it? Was it
yeah.
Andy
something like
Garcia that was in it.
Something.
Somebody
with
posted, like,
somebody
a-
was desperate.
Like a 1994 interview of with Keaton, like for another movie, and somebody asked him about Batman, whether he's going to do it, the next one, and he looks like, I'm like, man, he looks great in this. He's and the person even comments on him. He's like, oh, you look like you can still fit in the suit. He's like, oh yeah, suit still fits. I don't know if I'm going to do it. It's good, I'll do it. But I'm like, man, what if?
Yeah.
He was ripped Keaton.
Let's I mean, do you have any other spots to point out on anything?
Towards the end, you
Okay.
get more of a thing with the penguin, his rage, my babies, he gets it missed. He missed that. He just kind of like, what does this do? And he just, it's it. Yeah. He presses the button and you just get the bats. You don't get the okay. So the my babies part is in there, but you don't get like that instant turn of like, he's so pissed. He starts slashing at him with the sword.
It just does one little clink.
It's just one little clink. Yeah.
I think it's clever because we heard it before, and Selena brings up to Max of, you're the light of Gotham City, so be the light of Gotham City, and then does the electrocuting. I think that I like that. I think that's actually kind of clever.
Yeah.
As well as the falling out of Gotham, like loses power completely, because
I love that, because that
that's
is the
such a
callback to the
small-
power plant.
Yeah, the power plant stuff in this, I feel like that almost
Blinking on and off.
has more, it's almost referenced more in the comic than the movie. And I'm not trying to exaggerate. It's just like, it is such a minor freaking subplot that goes nowhere, I think, in the movie. Here, it kind of doesn't either, but also there's, like 64 pages or whatever, as opposed to a 2-hour movie. And I don't know, like that's a fun little callback line that I like.
And you actually get more of, Shrek's line when he sees Batman. You're not just saving one life, you're saving a city, and it's a way of life. So in the movie, he's about to say the other half of that line, but Batman pushes his face out of the way. You're saving it. Psst, shut up.
You're going to jail.
Yeah.
And Bruce Wayne, why are you dressed like Batman? Because he is Batman, you moron.
Do you like Batman
I don't
taking
like
his
that.
mask off or ripping it off? What do you prefer?
Bugged me from the very first, as a young kid. I think he could look freaking awesome without the cowl on and the rest of the suit, but it's so torn weirdly, and how high certain parts go up around his neck, that I think he looks kind of stupid. So here, at least, it looks even by him just taking the cowl off. So I like him just taking it off as opposed to the rip.
I love the rip.
You love the rip?
I've always loved like that raw, like, I've got more bat suits. They're meant to be, busted up, and I can get a pristine one tomorrow.
Because I don't know, like, I mean, if you actually take that cowl off, the symbol, the whole cape,
you can't do it in real life anyway.
Sure.
Yeah. So
I mean, here it looks like he just almost like a helmet, and if that was the case, I'd really like that. But yeah,
it makes me wonder. It's like, how did they have to do that? I wonder how many takes that took to get him to kind of rip the cowl off.
Keaton was jacked. It was one take. He just just ripped it right off his head.
They gave him like a I don't know, a thinner latex mask. Like, all right, no eye makeup. Let's do this.
Yeah. All right, perfect.
I like that he takes
sir,
it,
but the makeup, well, we don't have the time. They got an adaptation to do. We can't reshoot this. We all know well, let's see. In the movie, we don't get a commissioner and mayor sign off.
That
for Bruce
that's
driving
in the
by.
script.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wasn't missing it, but it is like a thinking of like, oh, that I think that could have been cool checking in with them and the cars driving by, so we followed them. As we all know,
It's a nice like a mirror to the end of 89. Like, he's here to help us, and he hears the signal. And this one is like, man, you think he'll forgive us because we shot him like a few times?
Because we were dicks to Batman.
Yeah.
And then it ends on the car and the bat signal, because we know that the movie, they basically came up with the idea of Catwoman like 3 weeks before release or something like that, and they built the mechanical one. So I didn't expect to see that in here because of that was such a last minute addition, but I was glad to see the outline of Catwoman, and then he gets the kitty, which I don't know what Bruce did with it because he didn't have a cat in Batman Forever.
Oh, but he does in the Batman 89 comic continuation.
That's true. You think in the Flash, Michael Keaton will still have that cat and it'll be gray by now?
That's many years later.
It's like stuffed.
The cat's called Alfred.
Yes, and he named the cat Selena.
Well, okay, there's one last part that it's really weird. Like, I don't know if this is something I've never noticed.
Give me your bugaboo. Come on.
But at the end of the film, it's like he's like thinking to himself after he's all Selena, and then he's all Selena Kyle. Like, is he trying to say cynical? What is he trying to say?
Selena.
I'm with you.
Like,
and right before he jumps up, so right above that, before, like, when Penguin falls down through the glass into the water, he's up on top with the penguins as they're shooting off everything, and he says Selena, and then goes to the window, in which that confused me too, because I'm like, he doesn't even know Selena's down there.
Can he hear her talking to him from up there? Yeah. So
he says Selena, and then does that, and then like what you brought up too, I was kind of like, what the hell is that even about?
Selena Kyle, and then he's all Max.
It doesn't. I don't know. I don't get it. And then,
I just don't. I don't get it. Like, I was like, okay, cynical is a deeply distrustful, sneering disbelief in sincerity or integrity, cynical about politicians' motives, misanthropic, suggests a rooted distrust and dislike of human beings and their society. I'm like, okay, that could be Selena, but it was just like, is this a stretch? Are you trying to?
That's a stretch. That's Stretch
I don't know,
Armstrong
man.
right there.
That is Stretch Armstrong. It was a weird like Selena.
Yeah.
A Kyle. Like, what are you thinking, Denny?
Both their bodies are still laying there.
Yeah.
Too, which, as we know from the movie, that wasn't the case. We just saw googly-eyed Max.
Right.
But yeah, I get you. Let's move. Okay, I got some questions for you too as we start to wrap up. Unless there's anything else you need to bring up. I'm glad you brought that up, Justin, because that was weird.
Cool.
All right, moving on. Let's get into some favorites. There's just one favorite. Do you guys have a favorite panel for this adaptation? I'll tell you, mine is the very last one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a cityscape bat signal. Love the shot in the movie. I mean, before Catwoman pops her head up in it, and after she does. Yeah, I love that shot. And a book that I think there's a lot of good art in here. I like the likenesses of the main characters and stuff, but I mean, that's one of the biggest panels too, I think. And a cityscape with a bat signal, and it is. You don't need any kind of context, and that's Gotham. So I really like that one.
Yeah, there's no major splash pages in this.
Yeah.
Like a nice establishing shot of Batman. And so I feel like I'm missing something that like really popped. It was more like, this is more of a storyboard comic book. Mm-hmm. And there's no like, oh, this was an amazing image. Though I will say I did like the shot of Penguin when he's in the Hall of Records. It's good. I would love to actually, like, if that was kind of I don't know, if it was in black and white, I think it would be even more powerful, because he did a good job at like of capturing him. It's just that one image, like where penguins. I think it's actually on the back of the book too. They kind of have a film strip. I believe in my brain they kind of tried to mimic the Batman '89 like film strip thing on the back.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I can show it to you because I have that stupid thing on my screen. You can't see it, but
Can't see it.
it's this penguin right with a quill pen. And if it was, I think if it was black and white, it looked really amazing. But yeah,
Gotcha.
there was no real major image that popped off to me. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
How about you, Hoss?
Favorite panel
Yeah.
would be probably on that page I was talking about earlier with the Batman and Catwoman, holding each other. I think that one's pretty good. You got both characters.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. That works. That's cool. I asked, but let's see if there's which one you guys would pick. Something, the one that stands out the most that's in this comic that's not in the movie that you would have liked to have seen. We brought up a few.
For
But
me,
is there for you one definitely?
Yeah, for me it would definitely be the getting Gordon and Alfred together in the same shot, in the
Gotcha.
same scene, talking to each other, because that's something we did not get in the movies at all.
Excellent. Justin, what do you think?
Yeah, I like that detective scene where Bruce is like, oh, there's no glass on the ground. Like, I think that's just kind of a nice, like, it's not a dead giveaway that I'm Batman, but it's like Bruce like being distrusting of Max of like, I see what you're doing, bro.
In the movie, that scene really does play out where like Bruce Wayne is so aloof that he kind of isn't super experienced in not being able to turn off Batman or in real life. And I feel like there's even more of that in the scene in the book where he is like, he's in detective mode. He's like, that's not it. He's already suspicious of everything.
Got bigger fish to fry. Bruce says primitive ventilation.
Yeah, it's such a dork.
Where was that line? That one too. Keaton Saw said, maybe I don't say anything here.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, no more lines.
No more.
Keep
No,
the pay rate. Keep the pay rate.
Yeah.
Use the lines.
I think, just because it's creepy as hell. Circus gang stealing kids.
Oh yeah, that would be great, especially like Burton style.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah.
I can just see a little kid brushing his teeth, and then you get like clown guy coming up behind him.
That would really
A Pennywise.
upset.
Oh, yeah.
Upset the parents. My
Yeah.
kids have not even more nightmares of black goo, and the kids getting snatched.
They stare at
imagine two
windows
little
instead of
kids.
mirrors, brushing their teeth now.
2 little kids just eating a Happy Meal, and a clown comes and takes them. They're like, no,
Yeah.
it's Ronald McDonald working for.
McDonald's
working
gets a
for
shout
him.
out in the book too. That's the
Yeah,
thing.
dude.
They do,
It's like,
yeah.
Like what
Yes.
do kids do? Stop at McDonald's? Yeah,
Stop at McDonald's.
Ronald is part of the Red Triangle Circus gang,
seriously.
Oh my God. Give me that deleted scene.
right?
He just
He's
shows
in
up in
there.
the back. Somebody needs to cut that. Just do something where he's just popping up randomly on YouTube. He's behind the circus gang, just way in the back, not prominent. He's cut him
behind
out of one of the
organ grinder.
commercials.
He's behind the organ grinder.
Yeah.
He's just
Holy
got like
shit.
a McFlurry. He's all, come on, kids. Happy meal time. And it's like black goo.
Oh man, give me that. That'd be
Give me
awesome.
a black goo McFlurry.
Yes. How about anything not in the comic, but was in the movie that you'd have liked to see? Me, Money Shot, Selena dressed up as Catwoman. Hell here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which they gave to us in the
Yeah.
89.
We at least got it in the cover with that cat in the bottom front that's like, huh? Like this, it's like the squirrel gift turn, but cat,
Right.
the cat version. I like how that makes me laugh. But yeah, I would have liked to have seen that.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, it's the Bruce seeing the bat signal at the beginning of the movie.
Okay.
Agreed. I would have loved to have seen like a nice rendition of that.
Sure.
Because it could have just been all dark, with some light streaks
Yeah.
coming
Mm-hmm.
Let's start it off here for Justin Kowalski. What are your final thoughts on this Batman Returns comic book adaptation?
Yeah, I mean it's definitely a comic book adaptation. I think it's just a couple grades below Batman 89 adaptation. Art's strong, but it's not special. It serves the purpose of telling the story. If you're like, oh, I like that movie, and you want to read it right after watching the movie, you're like, yep, I relived that real quick. You know, you know, you have to take in consideration, like, you know, I think Ryan said earlier, like Denny O'Neil was probably working from like a working script, you know, first stages, you know, because you got to get this off the artists at some point. So
Yeah.
corny dialogue and all that stuff, but it's still, I mean, it does the job of like encapsulating, like, this is the story of Batman Returns.
Corn dog dialogue.
Yeah. Stupid
Corn
dog.
Stupid corn dog.
And she's all corn dog. Corn dog.
Dad.
Dad.
Hoss, how about you?
Dad, give me a corn dog.
Corn dog. So for me, I like it quite a bit. It does. I think you're onto something, Lauer. I feel like this story wise, you can probably read this without the movie and it would hold up. You would get the story out of it more so than 89, probably. Like, it holds up in that way a little bit better. But as adaptations, I feel like it works really well as a companion to 89 too. Like, because the character likenesses hold up pretty well between the two. And yeah, it's just a nice way to re-experience the movie or get a slightly different telling angle on things. It doesn't expand things too much, but but it's still a good experience, even if it is, like Justice said, like a notch or two down from the 89 adaptation. It's still pretty good.
Like I said earlier, there's a magical aura around everything 89 that gives, even like shortcomings with whatever aspect that is of 89, it's still like, but it's Batman 89. I think art wise, that is definitely a superior adaptation in this one, but story wise, I think this is superior than 89, because I know parts of that one. I thought a lot of like, oh, where's this? Oh, where's this? You know, where I didn't do that a whole lot here in Returns. Now, I think in my lifetime, Batman 89 is the movie I've seen the most in my entire life. To where even though I know Returns pretty damn well, I know 89 every word of dialogue almost, because of how many freaking times I've watched it. So maybe that's why I did that when reading that one as opposed to this one. Yeah, lacking the magic, but otherwise I think it's a quality adaptation.
Yeah.
Batman and Robin is the only one now that I haven't read, which I'm going to for that one's 25th anniversary, just on my own. But
that one starts off really weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know the first page is like the film strip audience people, and then it dips in, and but I'm curious what kind of changes and whatnot. But I know, the Batman Begins one, that felt like it was such a fraction of the movie. Yeah. 89, I thought there was a lot of stuff that was kind of cut from it. Batman Forever was just, it was closer to what the novelization was as opposed to the final film, I thought. And but that felt like it missed on left a lot of stuff out. And I think Returns just includes a lot more than the others do. So I think it's a pretty quality adaptation. Story-wise. So yeah. I mean, you have DC Universe, it's right there, easy for you to DC Universe Infinite. It's right there at your fingertips for you to just grab and read digitally. Getting your hands on a physical copy, I mean, I've seen prices all over the place. It can be pretty affordable. I think I got mine for like $6. I didn't pay very much. Good. That's true. Wow, didn't even connect that. Maybe it was Robert Wool just doing a favor to fans. Like, I don't need this. I'm not in this one.
I wish he was back.
But me too. But I mean, I looked right beforehand. I saw copies on eBay. They were like $20 each and stuff. And so, easiest way is to read it digitally. But I think it's worth checking out on your own after you watch it for its 30th anniversary. So that being said, gentlemen, I'm going to have some McDonald's and play with my Batman Returns toys.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. My dog was barking. I said I still have a Batman Returns cup. And it had Catwoman, and they had these discs that were on top because they shot out the side of the Batmobile.
The frisbee, yeah.
I got that, and I got a big Batman Returns. It's the art you were talking about, Ryan, where it's got his gauntlet like that, and it's a big cup I got from Magic Mountain because they had the Batman stunt show. I totally forgot to share that. Oh, they had a Batman stunt show, and it was like Batman Returns style.
Awesome. Oh man,
it just had the Penguin in it. That's all they did. They replaced Joker with Penguin. I got the cup because you can get a Slurpee there or like an icy or whatever, and I remember getting that. So
Lucky.
awesome.
I didn't
had
have
a hologram bat logo on the side because it was official
Ooh.
Batman merchandise.
we went crazy for forever because that's when my small town they got a McDonald's. Like the year, finally before the year before Forever came out. And so that was easier than the closest one was, the town that was like 15 minutes away.
Wow.
So it was more feasible that we could get the glasses for that. But returns, I missed the boat, missed the duck, should I say. Didn't get any of the cups. So gentlemen, this has been fun. I appreciate you both coming back on to talk some more comic adaptations. So Ryan, Hoss, why don't you plug away? People, if they don't know how to find you or anything at all, have at it.
Yes. You can find me on Twitter at SMB_Ryan. SMB stands for Super Mario Brothers.
Super Mario Brothers
website. It's also on Twitter at SMB Movie and the Batman Podcast Network at BatPod Network.
That makes sense. Justin Kowalski.
Yes. You can find me on Twitter at Justin M. Kowalski.
R.I.P. J. Rocca.
R.I.P. J.
R.I.P. J. Rocca.
That's right.
The lead singer of A Kiss Can Be Deadly.
No. That's so funny.
There you have it. You can follow the Batman Book Club on Twitter and Instagram at the Batman BC for latest episode drops, upcoming episodes, sometimes giveaways. You can write in with questions or comments, concerns. Go to Eric Holzman at thebatmanbc@gmail.com. Like I mentioned, last episode, many episodes, pay attention to the YouTube channel, subscribe to that because me and one Peter R. Vera are going to do something on there that will be fun, not duck based, sadly, but not ruin it out. If you want to support the show, you can do that in a variety of ways. First off, patreon.com/thebatmanbc. You can buy merchandise on TeePublic, t-shirts, notebooks, hoodies, onesies for your little ones, tpublic.com. Type in TBBC. Designs brought to you by Justin Kowalski.
What?
A real hero.
Him.
Yeah, he's a hero, the hero that we need. And if you want to support the show and you don't want to spend any money at all, that's 100% A-okay. Best thing you can do is rate and review the show wherever you listen to podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Google, Amazon, Podbean, wherever. Go to the rate and review page. The more reviews the show gets, the more it helps spread the word. And as we all know, the word is panic. So for Ryan Hoss, for Justin Kowalski, I am Ryan Lauer. Until next time. Remember.